What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank, and today I just want you to think about it. Think about it. That's all I want you to do. I just want you to think about it. Now, today we're going to talk about the envelopians, right? And we're going to talk about the Arabs, okay? I'm going to talk about these group of people. When I talk about the Arabs, I'm talking about the envelopian kind. All right, the envelopian kind. Now, have you ever noticed that when you turn on the news and you look at all the political figures, right? All the heads of state of a lot of these Arab countries, have you ever noticed that they look European? Besides Iran, right? Besides Iran, but even in Iran, if you look at the leadership of these countries, they look very, very European of origin, right? Now, the native population of this place that we call Arabia, right? The Arab world, is actually very small. It's very, very small on the map. It's actually they're almost and no disrespect, they're almost an insignificant population of people compared to the rest of the world. They're that small, right? But they get talked about a lot. They're one of the loudest groups in the room as far as race are concerned. And have you ever thought about what an Arab really is? You ever thought about it? Because I actually been there, right? And I noticed that the population, the real population, the population that you don't see on TV, most of them are dark. Okay, when I say dark, I'm talking about dark, like black. Now, these people are, when you look at them, they look like dark skin, East African, Arab-esque people, right? But if you think about it, right, you never see these guys in leadership positions, right? Now, I want you to also think about how in Latin America, right? Same thing. Look at all the politicians. They're all European origined people for the most part, right? All of them. The ones that's in charge, right? So, because we all know, well, everybody don't know, but there's only been so many combinations in the world. You got Africans, Africoid people, you got Asians, Asiatic, and you got European, right? And everything else is a combination of those three things. So Arabs would be your first, what we would call them the first Mexicans. Let's call them the Arabs are the first Mexicans. Because first of all, if you didn't know, Arab is not a race. Arab is simply a language. So people who call themselves Arabs are not of the same race. They just speak the same language. And all Arabs are not Muslim. But you see, most of us, because most people think in simplest terms, right? People don't really know the details of how the world works, how anything works for the most part, because they too busy trying to survive or concentrate on their lives, right? Everybody's not into all this, right? So they confuse race, ethnicity, nationality, and all that stuff. So we look at Arab, we think it's Arab race, right? And we look at them, we put them all in one block. But in actuality, an Arab is just a person who speaks the language of Arabic, which, by the way, the Arabic language, along with a lot of the other language from that region, are all descended from African languages. Those are all children of African language. Arab that language comes from Africa, right? Linguistically, right? All languages trace back to Africa, but that Arab language is directly traced back to Africa, right? So, but the people there are just a mix between African, Asian, and European traders and merchants who use that highway, the place that connects everybody, to trade commerce back and forth throughout the world. That's why you have those people there. right? Everybody mixed there. Everybody fought there. It's next to water. It's a geographically profitable location. That means it has the canals. That means everybody, any merchant who wants to do big business has to own that area. Hence all the manufactured religious drama that they use to justify the need to, maintain the area. Whoever controls that area controls the money. Whoever controls that area controls the money, right? But you can't control people by telling them, hey, I need you to go fight and kill those people over there so I can make a bunch of money. Me and my family can make a bunch of money. No, we have to motivate you by giving you some make-believe fake things like religion to keep the people who are less educated, keep them motivated to go do the bidding of the rich and well-to-do. But if you notice, all these places, for the most part, their people are like, all the leaders are European-esque. European. If they did their DNA, I'm almost sure that it would end up in Europe and that they're recent to that area. That's why if you talk to local people from these places, they'll tell you that these people are not from there. All the local people will tell you that these leaders that's running the countries are not from there. Remember, this is the superhighway of ancient trade. And this is also the place of most of all the crusades, right? Europeans coming down to destroy, what was civilization, right? If you notice, every place Anglo-Saxon Europe, have you noticed this? Have you ever thought about it? Every place Anglo-Saxon Europeans have sacked, have fought and taken over, they destroyed. Think about Rome. Rome only fell because the Romans extended their borders too far out and they abused the people, these Germanic Anglo-Saxons. When the Anglo-Saxons came down to the Mediterranean finally, after being trained by the Romans, right, on weapons and warfare and tactics, those Anglo-Saxons came down and destroyed civilization, launching Europe into the Dark Ages. At this point, Africa, we weren't in the Dark Ages. We were building cities, we had governments, we were doing stuff. We had libraries and museums, and we was traveling, and we were living a modern life, which you consider a modern life, like the way we consider this a modern life. Like in 100 years, they're not going to be looking back at us as technologically advanced as we think we are. They're going to be looking at us like we live primitively. So imagine back then, we were living just with the same perspective of where as advanced as you can be right now, right? Back then, they were advanced, while Europe fell into a dark age. So when the Europeans took over the Mediterranean area, it plunged the entire area into a dark age, because before that was the center of power around the world, between that portion in Africa. If you notice, have you ever thought about it? The Greeks and even the Romans had more of a respectful relationship with the African empires, the various kingdoms, and the various Asian empires than the Anglo-Saxon did when they came across the waters to the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere. When those Germanic ones came down from the north, they came down and act like they didn't even know us, like we didn't exist, like we was aliens, like we was something to be studied. But the people that they say that they come from, the people that they say are their ancestors, they knew all about us. We had a ongoing personal and business relationship for thousands of years. We weren't new to the ancient world. This is not a new thing. Multiculturalism, global trade, knowing Asians and Africans and all these, like that was something normal back in the day. Hell, African countries in Japan had commerce. African country in China had commerce sailing back and forth. There's a whole island full of people that are a result of that commerce on the off the east coast of Africa. There's a whole people. Indians and Africans and Asians have been trading for thousands of years, culturally, business, commerce, goods, everything. We've been living our best life for a while, until those Germanic, Anglo-Saxon, Francophone Europeans came down from the mountains. And they systematically destroyed everything everywhere at the same time. Literally. The only group to do such a thing. Even the Mongols didn't do that. And they were pretty destructive. They were pretty destructive, but even they had more structure, and they didn't do that. They didn't do that. They did some things, but they didn't do that. That wasn't their sole purpose. Most nations and empires had options before that happened. Most of them either get down or lay down. But when these Anglo-Saxon, Francophone, Germanic Europeans came across the Great Wall, when the White Walkers came, because that's what that was about with Game of Thrones. I don't know if you knew about it, but that was the thing. That wall with the White Walkers on the other side actually represented a real wall that the Romans had built. And the wall was to keep those Anglo-Saxon, Germanic Europeans from crossing down into the lush, fertile lands of the Eastern European peninsula. They looked at those people like savages. They wrote this at the same time when the Greeks was talking about how awesome and amazing us Africans were, unapologetically, with their entire society, right, including Rome and the other adjacent areas, were built and designed, wrapped around and inspired by African culture. The things we gave them when we were exchanging culture back then, like normal, right? When these Germanic ones came down and they destroyed all of that, they burned all of that, they literally set us back. We could have been way further. But just those people, particularly. And then we wonder, how is it that these group, when we all know, they were slavery. Everybody had a form of slavery. But anybody with any intelligence understand that the type of slavery back then was more of a servitude to pay off a debt, or because you were a criminal, because you were an enemy combatant, you got caught, and usually had the ability to rise within the society, or pay off your debt, get married. You were still a human being, right? You can rise in society. You can go from being a slave to being a general. It was just a part of life. There was no corporate jails. There was no federally built jails or any type of federal property or anything like that. There wasn't none of that going on. None of that was happening. So that was the way business was done. Plus, people power, that's a precious commodity. You didn't waste people there. That people had more of a respect and more of a appreciation for the power of a human being and them being able to be alive, because it was necessary back then. We didn't have all that technology. But if you notice, only one particular group of people, when they got their chance to be in charge, they destroyed everything. Animals, wildlife, right? Justified their version of slavery, which was inhumane. Even the way they treat their animals is inhumane. The way they treat their livestock is inhumane, right? Compared to everybody else. The relationship with nature is inhumane, right? It's all inhumane, if you notice, right? So think about it. The same people that enslaved us, ate us, took our babies and threw them in as crocodile bait, as alligator bait, right? And you wonder, like, what kind of person could do something like that? What kind of society could do that for fun and go to sleep at night and not have any PTSD or anything? And it's the same group of people that can drop hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of American-made bombs on children and kill them by the tens of thousands happening right now. Like, it's literally, we know it's happening right now, right? Over 10,000 people dead, innocent people. You don't see any videos of actual combat, do you? Have you noticed that? Think about it. Have you seen any actual combat? Have you seen any combat at all? I don't think you have. Have you seen any videos of troops having any type of mount warfare? Didn't you guys pay attention to the 20 years of American warfare? How many videos did you see of Americans fighting in the streets of Iraq and Afghanistan? I mean, I was there. I remember it. I was in Afghanistan fighting in the streets and in the cities and in the woods. Plenty of video everywhere. Where are the videos? Where are the videos? Everybody got cell phones, right? Where are the videos? Notice you don't see them. All you see is bombs. All you see is missiles, hundreds of thousands of dollars of American tax money being used to kill children right now by a particular group of people. And I bet you if you did their DNA, most of them will come from one particular place. The Slavic, Germanic, Baltic area of Northern Europe. I guarantee you. So if you just sat back, right, took the lines off, and you color coded all the ethnic groups, and you got to put it on a sliding scale, right? So you put it on a sliding scale, but it all color coordinated, right? All color coordinated. So you can see the European group, Northern European group, Mediterranean group, Asian group, all the mixed groups, the combination of colors per mixed group, right? I guarantee you that the majority of the problem areas, I guarantee you the color will be whatever the European color is. I bet you that blob on the map will be the most prominent. I guarantee you. Think about it. Huh? So when you think about evil, right? You know, like, let's talk about slavery. We all know slavery's going on right now, right? Just like when it was going on back then, there were people living in the middle class, right? There were people living in the middle class. They were living their best life. And maybe they weren't participating in slavery. Maybe they weren't in the economy of slavery. But there were people during their time that were participating in the transatlantic slave trade, right? So when they heard the stories about this and that going on, how did they think about it? Did they blow it off like it wasn't important? It's not like they had cell phones and internet and TV. They just read it in the newspaper every couple months, right? They didn't have the radio. They just heard about it. It wasn't even nothing to really think about. Just like you don't think about all the slavery that's happening right now. Just like you don't think about all the missing little black girls and little white girls and Native American girls gonna go missing every year. Like you don't even think about all the children in America that go missing every year. And we know that there is a child sex slavery ring going on in the world right now. We know that slavery is bigger than it was back then right now, but we turn a blind eye to it and we just keep living. And every time we hear about it, we condemn it in our heads for a little bit and we keep it moving. So we technically are just as complicit, right? The silent majority in the biggest slave trade in the history of mankind right now, which is child sex slavery, along with regular sex trafficking. And we pretend like it's not happening. The passport bros are going all around the world enjoying the slaves themselves who are enslaved in a lot of these brothels and these institutions. They got these girls out here on the street internationally. We are celebrating it right now, not even thinking about it. When dudes go to all these European countries, right? High in sex trafficking, high in sex slave. What do you think these brothels? You think these are free women? You think these women are free? No, you're not free. They're slaves. They're female slaves, and they got male slaves too in the back for the ones that like them. They just don't get put on camera. But think about it right now. And where are most of these places located? Huh? Europe and in the Arab area. Where? Close to the European Arabs. The Europeans who speak Arab. Them guys. Where they are. And in America, who's the most, who, think about it. What group of people participate in that type of sexual activity the most? By a large margin. Who? What group of people? Think about it. I mean, you really sit back, think about it. What religious institution is famous for such extracurricular activities and getting away with it? Even though it was blasted all over TV, getting away with it. What institution? We hear about it all the time. They make movies about it. All right? The Catholic Church. Hold up. What about its baby? The regular churches. Even in the black church, because it's still a white institution, right? It's their thing, right? That's their religions. What they be doing in them churches? What's some stories we know about? Even in the black church. What's them pastors and them doing? Huh? While practicing European religions and ideologies and their traditions. Right? Just think about it. Have you ever sat back and really looked at the picture and be like, you want to see what evil is? What group of people thought it was cool to drop 2 nuclear bombs on a group of people? Right? Think about it. What group of people on the planet is bold enough, evil enough to drop 2 nuclear bombs on a city full of innocent children, women, and adults who ain't have nothing to do with Pearl Harbor? And then think about Pearl Harbor from the other side. What was Pearl Harbor? A military base on a colonized island. Think about what Hawaii is, what Guam is, what Puerto Rico is, what the U.S. Virgin Islands is, the British Islands are. Think about the Caribbean. And wait, what currency they use? Who owns them? Who are these people? Huh? All the evil that happens in all these countries, who's in charge? Who's running the show? Right? And let me tell you something. You know why African people are so great? We've been here long enough, and we are advanced enough and smart enough as a group of people, of a collective, that we've created something that's more advanced than any other group of people on the planet, and that's called black culture. That's why it's so attractive and infectious, because we've been here so long, we've been through so much, and we've overcome so much just to give this planet, make this planet available for the rest of these groups of people that create their own cultures. We've been here so long, and we know how to do this, and we've been surviving. We're such the shit, obviously. Right? Everybody keep telling us they hate on us because of it, and they love us because of it. Right? We know how to be peaceful. That's why when you go to Africa, when everybody goes to Africa, all their experiences like, oh, these people are so welcoming, kind. Right? Our actual culture is the problem, because we're so advanced. These non-advanced human beings came over here and took advantage because they're advanced savages. They only know how to create death machines. They kill each other. Right? That's what they good at. Death. Creating environments for death. And here's the thing. When you know how to create peace, when you could create societies that have enough peace, because it takes a lot of strength to create societies with peace, then you have the time to raise children and teach them how to be architects, and you ain't got to worry about them getting their heads cut off. Teach them how to be painters, and they can sit there. They don't have to be warriors, because they got enough warriors to do it, because they have an organized society. So some of the males can sit there and be scientists, can be mathematicians, can be scribes, like I said, can be architects, can be astrologists. They can go to universities and amass the intellectual capability to build structures that still stand the test of time. That's so amazing and so crazy and so wonderful and so advanced that the rest of the world steals it and puts it in their buildings to stare at every day, and put them in their basements to stare at the good stuff, and don't even let the rest of their people see it every day. They study it every day, and they emulate it every day. And in every single major city on this planet, there is an African symbol stolen from us to represent the power of their capitals in almost every single capital on the planet, including Washington, D.C., which we have the biggest black penis, which is the National Monument. It's a big black penis. That's what it is. So think about it. They had to tell you, and they had to spend hundreds of years to knock us down to this point. That's how high we was. We were so high. We were so elevated. It took them hundreds of years to lower our racial self-esteem, our group self-esteem, our individual self-esteem about being black and being African, being from that place, and loving and cherishing and valuing ourselves. They spent hundreds of years and millions of European lives to make us feel this way and put us right here. And even that, they didn't have enough strength to keep us down. They had enough strength to put us there, but they didn't have enough strength to keep us down anyway. And now we're on our way back up. But have you ever sat back and really thought about what that evil is? The same people that can enslave other human beings and treat them like animals. Worse than animals, because they don't even treat animals good. This are the same people who can drop nuclear bombs on a city full of civilians twice. Are the same people who can commit genocide and kill off a whole group of people. In Tasmania, already genocide. The same people who committed genocide and killed off almost 99% of the Native Americans, the Western Hemisphere of this planet, the ancestors of the Asians that crossed over there from Alaska to America, killed off a whole fucking half the side of the planet. Right? Think if you sit back, you want to talk about some evil, history tells the tale. And if you want to think about the good, the precious, the community, the thing that people gravitate to, that they walk to, the light, the sun, you want to think about that? Who represents that? Think about that. Who's that? Who everybody want to be like? What's the master color? And before anybody say what's the second to the master color, you got black, then brown. What do people put on so they can look intimidating and strong and serious? Black. You want to be taken seriously? You put on black. Any music that's relevant, what is it? Black. Who makes the best food? Black people. What makes Latino food good? The black part. What makes Latino music good? The black part. What makes America fun and entertaining and awesome to come to? The black part. What makes the UK a place to visit? The black part. What makes any of the cities, these great mega cities in the world, what makes them so great? It was the black part that built it. Take the black part out, and what do you got left? Because Europeans ain't never built nothing in Europe until they had the black part. Because they was too busy killing each other. And they ain't have time for their boys to grow up and be architects, to be scientists, to be lawyers, to be scribes. And anytime somebody tried to do it, what did they do? Killed them. They killed them. Anytime somebody tried to be intellectual, they killed them. So when they see intelligence, they kill it. That's why they burned all the books in Alexandria. Instead of taking the books, they took everything else, but they burned the knowledge. Think about it. They burned our knowledge. They burned the knowledge out of our brains that we held in our heads. And what are they trying to do now? They're trying to burn knowledge of real American history, right? By burning books, banning books, they destroy knowledge. That's how they survive. They destroy knowledge and cultivate ignorance. That's facts. So when you want to talk about what evil is, I think we have a pretty, good, example of what that is. When you got our Congress people, right? Republicans openly saying that more Palestinian children need to die out loud. That's how bold they are now. Out loud. And then tried to sanction the only Palestinian politician because she had dared to condemn Israel for killing tens of thousands of children and women and men. Tens and thousands. That's probably on the low end because of an attack that killed 1,000 of theirs. This is definitely well over overkill. Like I said, you ain't never seen no combat footage on the ground. You would think they would show that. So we can see this Hamas fighting back. And we'll be able to justify why such heavy tactics need to be used. In a highly populated, highly dense area. And our democratically elected president, the Democrats, want us to support them. Joe Biden. And don't get it twisted. If Trump was the president, this same shit would have happened, and he would just been saying some dumb shit. Both of them would have did the same shit. No matter what they say, they both would have did the same shit. Let it happen. Why? What kind of code are these people on? So when you think about evil, just think about the people that can do all that shit. That's them. And we know where they're from. We know what they do. History has told the story. So that means we know what they're going to continue to do. There's no surprises. Anyway, that's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.